It's been a weird few weeks, though. I was involved in a breakup last month. No, don't. It wasn't my breakup. No. I was at a Starbucks, and there was a couple sitting behind me, and I got involved in the breakup. It was a guy and a girl. I was sitting there, I was reading a book called Purity by Jonathan Franzen, which is a really good book, but it's not more interesting than hearing someone go, "Give me one good reason we shouldn't go out anymore, Michelle." And I was like, this can close. And the whole Starbucks was like, is this a public breakup? Like, we've heard the legends, but is this happening in front of us? And my first thought was like, who breaks up in person? Right? You stop texting, you unfriend, they go away. It's how it works. She was clearly the one doing the breaking up because he said, give me one good reason we shouldn't go out anymore. And by the way, she misheard him. Because he said, give me one good reason, and she heard, give me 35 reasons in a row, in public, as loudly as possible. And all of these reasons were variations on, you're not smart enough for me. She could have just said that. She didn't. She took a scenic route. He's like, give me one good reason we shouldn't go out anymore, Michelle. She's like, you're not smart enough for you, not educated for me, not mature enough for you, not emotionally mature enough for you, not sophisticated enough for you, taste music bad, taste clothing is like, look at you. Like, can't remember like last time I picked up a book or magazine or a court. You're not intellectually curious. Your vocabulary isn't as extensive as I would like. And you're not very erudite. And you could see the whole Starbucks be like, he said one reason. And you could see the poor guy like wanting to argue with her, but also thinking like, what does erudite mean? And this is where I stepped in. She said, hey, Kev, which by the way, that is enough of a reason for me. Hey, Kev, we should just be friends. That is the worst possible start to a friendship. Hey, I never want to have sex with you ever again. Here's a laundry list of reasons you're one of the dumbest people I've ever met. Also, we should hang out sometime. And I turned around in a crowded Starbucks. I couldn't help myself, and I went, he has enough friends. And the whole Starbucks stopped live tweeting the breakup, and they're like, what the fuck is happening now? And this guy sold me out immediately. He went, he's not with me. And I was so caught up in the moment that I was like, Kev, I'm with you all the way. I'm going to talk about two of my heroes. I'm going to get out of here. Has anyone heard of Coco the gorilla? Yeah, well, a bunch of you guys. Coco the gorilla, for those of you that don't know, is a gorilla that speaks fluent sign language. And in 1999, this is true, Coco met Robin Williams. And last year, they told Coco that Robin Williams had passed away, and Coco went, Coco friend, Coco sad. Yeah, which is sad. But on the plus side, how funny was Robin Williams that even gorillas were like, this guy is unbelievable. My comedy barely works if you're not a Jew from New York City. Robin Williams crossed the species barrier. That's the best comedian. Second of all, and obviously, did they have to tell the gorilla that Robin Williams had passed away? She wasn't gonna catch it on CNN or anything like that. Someone walked into a gorilla enclosure. In like early 2018, they're like, hi, Coco? Can you put down the banana? We have bad news. And they tell Coco, and Coco's like, oh no. But Prince is fine, right? Get the gun. Coco, calm down. And Coco's like, why was the last David Bowie album so sad? And they're like, Coco! And Coco's like, what else do you know? And they're like, no. And Coco's like, and they're like, no. And Coco's like, who's the president now? And they're like, should we tell her he's a relative? Coco, calm down. My other hero growing up was Neil Armstrong, and not just because he won all those bicycle races, because he was the first guy to walk on the moon. That was America's best moment. I love it. It was America's 50 years ago this year. That was America's best moment. We beat Russia to the moon in the middle of a Cold War. And Russian spaceships are really expensive, really well designed. Because the way you build a Russian spaceship is different. The way you build a Russian spaceship, you have one large container, and then you take the top off, and there's a smaller container inside of it. And then you take the top of that, there's a smaller container inside of it. And then you take the top of that, and there's a smaller container inside. I will do this until everybody is laughing. And then you take the top of that, and in the middle, babushka. And America sent 3 men into space. They sent Buzz Aldrin, they sent Neil Armstrong, and no one ever knows the third guy. No one ever. His name's Michael Collins. No one ever knows the third guy. And that's horrible, because Neil Armstrong might be like one of the most famous men of the 20th century. Michael Collins, third guy on that mission, he isn't even the most famous Michael Collins. There's a movie called Michael Collins starring Liam Neeson. It's about a different guy. And America sent these 3 guys into space, taking them 4 days to get there. I don't know times when they got there, but I know it was nighttime. Because the moon was out. And then exactly 35 years later, I met Neil Armstrong in an elevator in New York. I walked in, this is totally true, and he was right there, and I was like, Mr. Armstrong? He's like, yeah. I said, can I have your autograph? And he said, I don't do that. And I said, Mr. Armstrong, could I have a picture with you? And he said, I don't do that. I said, Mr. Armstrong, could I shake your hand? And I'll never forget this. He just looked at me, he went, kid, go away. You've only known me for a couple of minutes, but if you need to know one thing about me, it's this. If I'm not having a good time, no one's having a good time. And because I was 15 and I only knew from sarcasm, I looked at Neil Armstrong and I said, this is the worst Make-A-Wish I could have possibly asked for. And then, thinking this would genuinely sting, I went, my favorite should have been Michael Collins. And Neil Armstrong took a step away from me, and it was a small step for Neil Armstrong. You guys have been really wonderful. Thank you so much.
Really hilarious set. Fantastic. Fantastic. It's
I am sick, by the way, of pretending that the stuff that I like is cool stuff. I don't like anything cool. I'm really excited for the day I can finally stop pretending to hate Coldplay. I love Coldplay. I love and occasionally someone trying to be sympathetic will be like, oh yeah, the early stuff is good. And I'm like, no, all of it. And like, I was sitting in a car and Coldplay came on and the driver of the car went, ugh, Coldplay. And I had to be like, yeah, I hate music that makes it feel like you can do anything.
And, you know, I like uncool stuff. I went to see Josh Groban a couple of weeks ago, and screw you for the judgment on your face. I went to see Josh Groban. Not a girlfriend took me, not an aunt who likes it. I went to see Josh Groban. And I enjoyed it. He sang for 2 hours at twilight outside Portland in an outdoor venue. It was magical. He sings in 4 different languages. He did Pure Imagination for Willy Wonka. I cried, and I got into the car. I got into an Uber feeling fulfilled, and the Uber driver ruined my bliss with 3 words. He said, "Who is playing tonight?" And I said, "Josh Groban." And he just went, guilty pleasure. And I said, "What?" And I swear to God, he went, "Okay." And I said, "Why should I feel guilty?" "Huh?" And he went, "Okay." And I said, "Why should I feel guilty? For seeing a once-in-a-generation talent sing timeless classics?" And he didn't respond. And then I said something that I'm genuinely sure is the most embarrassing thing I've ever said. I crossed my arms, and after this, we were quiet for the rest of the ride. I crossed my arms, and I just went, "You can't help what gives you goosebumps." The worst tattoo I've ever seen is this. I worked with a girl at KFC. Long story. And everyone called her Jennifer 9/11. Hold on. It's way worse than you think. She had a tattoo on her lower back of the Twin Towers and the words "never forget." First of all, boner killer. Second of all, that means that at some point in her life, she walked into a tattoo, presumably after 9/11, otherwise it's crazy. She walked into a tattoo parlor and was like, "I want a permanent reminder of the saddest day in American history." And they were like, "Gettysburg?" And she's like, "No. More recent." And they're like, 9/11. "All right, where do you want it?" And she's like, "It should be a reminder." And they're like, "Yeah." She's like, "Should remind me every day." And they're like, "Yeah. Where do you want it?" And she's like, "Well, what's the one part of my body I could never see ever unless I had a neck like an owl?" But here's why it's really horrifying / great. Because time isn't always kind to people's bodies. And eventually, her skin is gonna sag. And those Twin Towers gonna collapse again. So it's less of a reminder and more of a reenactment.